Hi everybody and welcome again to Mike's Hidden Histories. I'm here in the town of Carlow in the southeast of Ireland to tell you about a slaughter that happened here in 1798 as part of the 1798 uprising by the United Irishmen. Now, it's very much overshadowed, this event, by the events in County Wexford where the main uprising took place, and there was also Laois and Carlow and other counties as well. But this was a particularly harrowing event that took place here on the 25th of May 1798. Now, the United Irishmen had been planning an uprising for some time, and they modelled their uprising very much on the French Revolution of 1789. The plan was a separate country, separation out from Great Britain. And their leadership was both Presbyterian and Roman Catholic. And it was founded in Belfast in 1791. And when it was banned, of course, it became a secret society. The plan here to attack Carlow and take Carlow town. Now, the idea was that it would assemble at either four sides of the town secretly overnight of the 24th to 25th of May, and that they would at dawn move into the town. Now, everything would have been fine, of course, except they were betrayed by spies, by somebody betrayed them to through the army that were here. And so a plan was put in place to entrap the United Irishmen when they came into town. Colonel Mahon of the 9th Dragoons placed his troops on the bridge at Great Cullen, a bridge on the other side of town, and yeomen who were a militia, private militia, were usually officered by the local gentry, and they were in uniform as well, and they were trained, and they were placed in some of the bridges around town and secretly hidden away in graveyards and other locations. So the idea was that the main body would move in from the east once they heard a volley from a small group of 200 men coming from the west side into Great Cullen to the bridge here, and they were supposed to release shoot in the air 3 times, the 3 volleys in the air, and that was the signal to the others on the east side to advance before dawn. Now, they had gathered, the ones on the east side, about 1,200 men, they had gathered actually at the home of Sir Edward Crosby. His main steward and 2 of his senior employees working there had organised and gathered against his wishes, but there was little he could do about it. Anyway, Colonel Mahon was organising an entrapment for them. So the people from the west moved in. There was no volley, because when they saw the yeomen on the bridge, they scattered back and went back out away from the town again. Eventually, the large body of men at the east side decided that they would, without a volley, they would enter the town. They came into the centre of town. It was eerily silent. They thought the army had fled, but in fact they hadn't. And on the main street, on both sides of the main street, the shutters opened up over them, and volleys of shot rained down on top of over 1,000 men at this time. They ran back down into the square, which was called Potato Market, still is called Potato Market. Here they met another volley of troops shooting from that side. So no matter which way they were turned, they were caught in crossfire, and they were actually butchered and slaughtered that day. Some of them threw their weapons away and ran into nearby houses, and those houses were set on fire. If they ran out again, they were either bayoneted or they were shot, and that included the civilians in those houses as well, including children. So, by the end of the day, over 600 people had died. Subsequently, others were caught and they were hanged in the subsequent days. So it took them a day or two to gather up all the bodies, and they brought them across here to what is known as the Croppy's grave. Now, this was 3 disused sand pits here, and so they loaded the bodies in carts and they brought them across. Some who weren't dead, they were killed or bayoneted or hit in the head with sledgehammers. It was a brutal time. Now, this is known as the Croppy's grave. And why were they called Croppies? Because many of those who were in the United Irishmen cut their hair short to identify with the United Irishmen, and to be completely distinct from some of the landed gentry who wore powdered wigs, in fact. And these are our brothers, they are fathers, and they're unnamed people who, because of their beliefs and their passion for Ireland, this was their last resting place. They were dumped here, as I said, in carts. Lime was thrown over the bodies, and it was covered in. This monument here was erected in July 1898 on the centenary of the of what happened in the 25th of May 1798, and in 1998, this is the Liberty Tree, which is in the centre of town in Potato Market, where most of those were killed or slaughtered on that day. And this was erected in 1998, the bicentenary of the 1798 rebellion here in Carlow. So here's one town which has a dramatic and traumatic history, which should not be forgotten. Now, I've come back to really where I started on my videos 2 years ago, my history TikToks, and this will be the last for some time because I'm moving on now to write my fourth book, and I need time to do that. You can get my books, my one history book and two self-help books on www.michaelmoriarty.ie. I hope you've enjoyed the tour around Ireland, enjoyed me telling the stories as best I can about people from our past. I'm a passionate believer in history, and I'm a passionate believer that we should not forget those who sacrificed, made huge sacrifices with their lives in the past. As a footnote, I want to tell you what happened Sir Edward Crosbie. He wasn't involved in the United Irishmen, but he was arrested, brought to trial. In fact, he was given no chance to defend himself. His wife only heard 1 hour in advance that he was to be tried. He was tried and found guilty of participation. And on the 5th of June, he was hanged here. His head was cut off. It was placed in a pike in Carlow jail so that passers-by would see it, including his family, of course, and his relatives and friends. His body itself was handed back to his wife to be buried, but his head remained there for some time. In fact, just another footnote, I did a previous TikTok video about the first man to fly on a hydrogen air balloon in Ireland in 1785, and his name was Richard Crosbie. And he flew from Ranelagh to Clontarf in Dublin, and he was a brother of this man, Sir Edward Crosbie. So we remember both of them today, I suppose, along with the 640 odd men that were buried here as part of our history. That's that's my lot for the moment. And if you've stuck with me to the end of this video, you'll know that I'm taking time out, but I will be back sometime in the future. That's all from Mike's Hidden Histories for now.